So if you're doing 10 things in one session, you're more likely to understand the situation. So as a body worker, you're so much better to just stick with one hypothesis, do it really well, and then you get a really good gauge on if something's changed. Because I think so many practitioners, they want to try and do so much in a session, but you're not doing anything well. G'day guys, Aaron and Darcy here from MMT. In this video, we're going to be talking about all the areas you need to release when your client has a posterior pelvic tilt. So not anterior, posterior. All right, so let's look on Darcy what that presentation is going to look like. So when you have a posterior pelvic tilt, that's an anterior. So if Darcy goes posterior, that's what you're going to see there. So what you're going to see is a tucking of the pelvis posteriorly. So what you're going to see is quite a flat or even rounded lumbar spine here. And you're going to see quite short and compressed abs and a rib cage here that's quite drawn down. So literally the opposite of the topical anterior pelvic tilt. So if you're playing along at home, you've got to guess which muscles in this case are short. Okay, I'll give you 3 seconds. 3, 2, 1. Go back into the position, Darcy. So what we're going to be looking at in this kind of postural position is glutes and hamstrings being very short and tugging down at that pelvis and tucking everything under. And that's coupled with abs here that are pulling the pubic bone up closer to the xiphoid process. So we've got super short abs and we've got super short glute and hamstring. And opposite to an anterior pelvic tilt, we've actually got really elongated erectors and also hip flexors at the front, okay? So you've got to be really making sure you're looking at your client's posture to determine what is going to be needing to be released. Because if you released hip flexors and the lumbar spine on these people, you're potentially going to get them to be like fed into that posture even more, and that can be quite not optimal for that person. All right. So what we're going to release today, if we go over to the chart over here, the muscles that we just mentioned there. So glute max, the hamstrings, and then also the abs at the front. Okay.
What do you want to start with?
I'm going to start with your glute and hamstring. So go face down for me.
Yep.
Oh. All righty. So what we're going to start with is the lower glute. So what I find is a lot of the shortness comes from this lower glute max, where it comes down kind of into the ITB, and then everything around that ischial tuberosity, which is the sit bone in here. So what we want to do is just try and get some length into these structures here. So we get a little bit of wax in our hand, and then we're just going to basically hook up into that lower glute max and just say g'day to it here. Just with the palm to start with. And just slowly sink in. Just get a gauge on how short and angry the tissue is, because if it is quite painful to have that pressed into, and if the client reacts quite a lot, then we know that this has probably been short and dehydrated for a long period of time, and we're going to need to spend quite a bit of time to get some length and get some blood flow into it. Because that's why reading your client's posture is so important, because that will determine what's short and what's elongated. Because as a body worker, we really want to be paying attention to the areas that are quite short and stuck. And when we can bring some length back to that, then you can restore the symmetry and the connection at a joint. Okay, so that tug of war that's happening at the joint, that's what we want to restore. There's a muscle that's short pulling tight, and that's counter on the other side, causing a muscle to be really elongated, and that's really can cause a lot of pain in that muscle as well, because it's working so hard to hold on. It's losing that tug of war battle, and it's just working hard and working hard. And so with what I'm trying to say as well is sometimes you actually have to treat the elongated muscle as well, but more to get some blood flow in there rather than lengthen it. So that's just the quest we're always on as a body worker, is to try and make sure that we're looking for leads and looking for clues, and then just having multiple plans of attack and hypotheses that we can take to actually get to a resolution for someone. And this is something that I've really been into my whole career, is taking before and after shots. So sometimes that can be the best marker objectively of progress. So when we can see that there's been a change after we've released something, we know that there's been a connection point there, okay? And conversely, if we've done a lot of work and nothing's changed, we know we can throw that out, it's not working, and then we're one step closer to finding what that resolution is. How you going here, Das?
Yeah, it feels really nice. I mean, I don't have a posterior tilt, but still to just get my glutes worked feels really good. And also understanding that somebody that would have that posterior tilt and those lower fibers of the glute would be overactive and short and tight, just how well you've sunk into that spot there, and it's therapeutic. It just, it resonates with me for somebody that just has a little bit of tightness up in that area.
Yeah. Yeah, the glute max it's a powerful muscle. It's a big muscle, and this lower end of it, where it attaches onto the ITB on these people that have that tuck, can be really stuck and short. And this stuff, you might actually have a client coming in that's not presenting with a posterior pelvic tilt. They've got back pain, okay, and then you're looking at them and you're seeing this. And so that's why you've got to be quite objective with your analysis, because if you just went and treated the back straight away, it might make them feel better. But in this case, the back being sore might be because it's so elongated and those lumbar joints are actually quite open, and they might have a little bit of pressure on the disc because of how much flexion that lumbar spine is in. And so what they actually need is to offload some of these muscles to actually restore that parity at that lumbar spine there. Quite a bit in there, Das.
Yeah, it's a really nice connection. Just pin and holding it feels great.
So yeah, there's 2 strokes for the glute in terms of a palm stroke, and then you can do an elbow stroke in there and just hold that for a few minutes at a time, and then we'll move on to our next line of work, which is working just under that. So the sit bone here, where the hamstring's attached to. So on a posterior tilt, these hamstrings work as pistons. So they're going to literally grab onto that sit bone there and then pull it down, causing that tucking. So what we're going to do is show you how we would get rid of tension on that there too. So like I did with the glute, we would start with the palm stroke. So just sink straight down into that proximal tendon. Reinforce the pressure there, leaning over. So I'm still sinking down towards the table, but what I'm doing is ever so slightly starting to tug my pressure down the hamstring, but I'm not actually trying to move. I'm just letting his body give me the green light. And then as his body's willing to let me through, I'll just slowly start to trace down. And I can feel myself like just super snail-like, just slowly starting to go down here. And just like we did with the glute, just trying to bring some length to these hamstring muscles that have been really, really short. You can actually mix it up here a little bit too. Like if you think about, because the hamstrings are tight and they're tucking that tailbone by pulling it under that way, you can actually experiment with maybe working from this direction up as well, because what you're trying to do with that is restore the direction you kind of want that pelvis to go in. So there's all sorts of different little strategies and tips that you can kind of bring into your sessions to try and restore that symmetry. You on right here, Das?
Yeah, it's really good.
So you can see me starting to move there. But still, I'm not actually trying to force this stroke. I'm just moving at the rate that I'm gliding on Darcy's hamstring. So I'm not trying to force anything. I'm just letting his body take me through the stroke. So once we've cleared that proximal tendon, there's a few different ways that we can actually hit the right under the sit bone here. So what I'm going to do first is use my left elbow when I'm working on the right side of the body. This is really good to hook up under that tendon. I can't go anywhere with it though. So if I wanted to scoop it, I'd use that one, but I'm going to start with this one, okay? So because I've been doing this a long time, I kind of know where the tendon is going to be, but if you're still unsure, you can just use your finger pads there to make sure where the inside of that tendon is, and that's where you want to be. So you're going to feel this ropey tendon in there. You don't want to be on the outside of it. So many people treat hamstrings by being too wide. You've got to be inside of it and then pinning down and out, okay? So you just go underneath that glute fold there. You can even, before you sink in, just roll over that tendon a little bit yourself and then just slowly start to sink into it.
Oh, yeah.
Super gentle to start though, because it is quite an area that can be pretty raw on people. So just allow him to do some breathing and just allow me to sink in there. And what I love about this technique is I'm right under that sit bone that's being pulled down for a lot of this person's life. So I'm melting these structures, but it's almost like I'm trying to push up into that sit bone a little bit as well, just to try and release the bind that's been on it for so long. You good, man?
Really good, yeah. It's nice.
And this is the thing that you see in all our videos. It's all about patience, guys. You can't be rushing this process. Sometimes you've got to hold these spots for 5 to 10 minutes to actually create the release. Because if you've had a person that's had this way of living for many years, you've got to give that tissue time to actually change state. So once you're in there, I still feel like I'm sinking into this, but once you're in there, you can start exploring some angles.
Yep.
So we can kind of hook out over towards the camera a little bit.
Wow, that's good.
We can explore up into the sit bone a little bit more as well. Or we can just go straight down towards the table there too.
Yeah.
So that's what you do with that elbow. But you can see you're somewhat limited with where you go. So if you wanted to actually perform a scoop, you'd do the same thing with this elbow. You'd find that tendon that you want to flick over. You'd start to sink into it here. And you'd wait, you'd wait, you'd wait. And then I can lean over so I can angle right back into that tendon. Just let Das breathe into that a little bit. And then what you watch me do here is, all I'm going to do is keep that same connection. And I'm just going to lean my body weight back towards his head, which is going to affect that scoop going out down the leg. And then that's how I do heaps of work around that glute and hamstring tendon. So we'll switch over to the other side. No, stay there, brother. Yep. Do the other leg, even you up.
Yep, love it.
Alrighty. Let's go again. So remember, sit bone here, we want to be above it for this. We don't want to be below it because the glute max comes in through here. So we want to be above that sit bone. So that crease there of the gluteal fold, we want to be above that, okay? So we're here, pick up the slack, and then pin straight down. Sometimes if you don't counter strain the leg there, you can kind of push them too much. So you kind of want to hold them in place as well. So I'm just, once again, not moving on the skin there, just pinning straight down into that lower glute. Just saying g'day. So your posterior tilts doesn't get probably spoken about nearly as much as anterior pelvic tilt, but you still see them in clinic. Like you see a lot of flat backs, and generally they're paired with a posterior pelvic tilt because that's what creates that flat back. So yeah, a lot of the times with those people, the exercises you're going to give them at home, apart from self-release, just basically stretches for the hamstring, stretches for the glute, and then stretches for the abdomen, which we're going to show in a tick after we finish this side.
Probably a little bit more predisposed to things like sciatica or disc injuries or bulges with their back being flat.
Yeah, that pressure, hey.
Less curve in the spine, more jarring.
Yeah. So I'm starting to move there now, so his body's just let me go through there a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
So then we'll do the elbow. Just rest it on the skin.
Oh.
And then slowly sink into that. So he's a bit reactive on this one.
Definitely.
I reckon a bit more reactive on this one compared to the right. Feels like there's a little bit more there, does?
Yeah, man. Yep.
Do you ever get stuff in this area yourself?
Yeah. Yeah. Jace treats piriformis like this, and I've had some glute or high hamstring pain in this area, and he's treated this spot, and it's just done wonders for me. So
Yeah, cool.
I hold tension here for sure.
On this side specifically too, yeah, on the left side.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is the beauty about going slow, guys, is that if you do it well, then you know that it's done and you know what the change that has come from it. You know, if you do something okay and it hasn't changed too much, then you're in a conundrum of, oh shit, should I go back there and treat it more? Or do I need to look somewhere else? So if you're doing 10 things in one session, you're more likely to understand the situation. So as a bodyworker, you're so much better to just stick with one hypothesis, do it really well, and then you get a really good gauge on if something's changed. Because I think so many practitioners, they want to try and do so much in a session, but you're not doing anything well. And then, if you fixed them, great, but you don't really know why, but if you haven't fixed them, then you're stuck because you've tried everything, and then where do you go from there? So in terms of a progression of a client journey with us, we tell our practitioners, just pick your first hypothesis, do it really well, and then go back to the, just reflect on it. Okay, what's changed? Has anything changed? Maybe 30%, maybe 60%. And then you've got a big bearing on, okay, like how much did that actually contribute? And then how much else do I have to look for now? Because this is where people get in a bit of a knot, and that's why they hit a ceiling with their clients, and then they don't know what to do. They're just throwing everything at the wall and hoping something sticks instead of being really methodical with the way they go about it. Nice, Das.
Oh, that was good.
So what I'm going to do this time is show you just a bit of a different, I'm going to show you from the same side of the table. So what I did on the other leg was the opposite side. I'm going to show you how to treat on the same side. Because with bodywork, you've got to be able to treat from different positions, do the same technique from many different positions, and it gives you a lot of flexibility with what you can do. So remember, we find that sit bone again, sink the palm into it. So this time, because I've got to hit that tendon, which is a bit more medial here, I've got to lean over the table a little bit here, just so I'm right under that sit bone there. Whereas when I was this side over here, I could just access it a little bit easier. So yeah, I will say that a lot of the hamstring work from the same side of the table are quite advanced moves, all right? But still good to have them in your arsenal. This one does feel like there's a bit more in it, Das, I will say. Kind of feels like I'm coming into it there or something. You good?
Yeah, it's good. Really good. Oh, definitely coming into it there.
Yeah.
Oh.
Like I can sense that there was this real nugget further down on this side, whereas the other side probably felt like it was a little bit higher up.
Oh, it's all the way.
I still feel like I'm not there yet. It's like coming.
Oh.
Keep breathing it out. So with a body work, if you find a lead, you got to follow it. So with the other leg, I kind of stopped a third of the way down because I felt like it was done. Whereas this one, I felt that there was this lead there that I wanted to keep exploring. So that's why I've kept this one going. So this is the thing. If you're a cookie cutter therapist and you're just doing the same stuff every single session and there's no tailoring, there's nothing that's bespoke, you don't pay attention to leads because you haven't got time to stay on them because you've got to finish your routine. It's I had a session with a massage therapist over New Year's, and it was more of a spa kind of place. Super nice, but I was asked before the session, what do I want her to focus on today? And everything that I mentioned got no more focus than any other part of the body. It was very much a routine, following a sequence, a cadence, and it sucks, because it felt like you weren't listened to, or felt like there was no tailoring to individuality to what you needed. So yeah, don't be that therapist, guys. You know, maybe if you work in a spa and that lights you up, that's fine. But we want to fix things. We want to be go-to practitioners. There we go. So what we're going to do now is this hamstring technique from the same side of the table. So once again, if you don't know where that tendon's going to be, you find it there, and that's your guide rail. Okay. So what I do is hook my elbow right under here, and then you can even roll over it just so you're sure you're on the right spot. So he's already got heaps there, so I wouldn't go any heavier than this right now. I'd just sink into it. Sitting on the table can be good as well, just feel a little bit more comfortable. But I can't stress enough that you've got to make sure you're on the inside of that tendon bundle, and that the angle of your humerus is down and then back out from where you're coming from. Because too many people are doing hamstring techniques not even on the hamstring. It's more kind of glute max or even ITB or vastus lateralis out here. Bit there, Das.
Yeah, really nice. Oh, yeah.
So yeah, I could stay here for a lot longer for Das, but I'm just going to speed it up a little bit so I can show you the technique. So remember, the scoop is lean back over, so we angle up into that sit bone a little bit more. Maintain connection. And then we just start to scoop back, or we lean back, and that affects the scoop coming out and down the hamstring. There's so much there. I've just got to be really slow here. Because with Das on that first run, I felt like it was kind of when I got down to about here. So I'll just show you how I'll navigate through this a little bit. You okay, bro?
Yeah, it's nice. It's necessary, it's relevant. Oh.
So I'm just basically tensioning the skin and the muscle down towards the feet, but I'm not forcing it. So I've just got my tug pushing down towards the feet, but I'm only moving on the skin at the rate that he's actually allowing me to go. And then you just take it down as long as you need to go. Like that. Just slowly come out of it. So that's what I would do for the glute and the hamstring. But then remember, we need to turn him over and do the opposite side, which is also contributing, which is the abs. So spin over for me, Das.
Oh, it's been so good so far. I'm loving it.
Oh, what's next?
What's next?
What's next? We didn't get a pillow for you, brother.
No, it's all good.
So yeah, people don't realise that the abs can cause a lot of havoc with posture. You know, there's a lot more than just your organs here. There's like 6 or 7 layers of abdominals and obliques, and they're strong, they're powerful. They move the spine, they move the rib cage and the thorax, and they're core stabilizers as well. And people don't realise that a lot of, even though we're talking about posterior tilt today, so moving of the rib cage coming down, pulled pubic bone getting pulled up, the obliques do a lot of spinal rotation too. So even if you've got people with like torsions of their rib cage and spine, the abs are super bloody important, okay? So what I'll do first with Das is I'm gonna get him to show me his pubic bone, because all the abs go and attach right down into the pubic bone right in here. So what I would do first with these people is just to see if there's any tension or anchoring coming from the attachment sites right onto the pubic bone. So yeah, we get the client to show us where their pubic bone is a lot of the time, because we don't want to be going and assuming that it's somewhere and then you might grab something that you didn't intend on. And so it's an easy way that you can just shortcut that process, okay? So basically what I'm doing here is just pinning straight down into Darcy's pubic bone and just getting a gauge of how it feels. So it can be quite a sharp sensation when you pin down into here, but I'm just basically shimmying along the whole ridge and just seeing if there's anything specific there that is giving him any curry at all. How's that feeling for you, guys? There,
Definitely a little bit of curry in there.
yeah.
Bit of spice. Bit sharp. It's good.
Yeah.
Oh,
So yeah, people don't realize all the abs go and attach in here. So it is a real anchor point. Like whenever you go and get off, whenever you go and move, you know, your abs would activate at this spot here. So people that have a posterior pelvic tilt, this area is going to be really short and dehydrated. So before we work into any of the mid-bellies of the abs here, I just wanted to make sure we can offload this tendon, hit that Golgi tendon organ, and send a relaxative effect through the mid-belly of the muscle.
Yep.
This is a feature of our osteitis pubis work as well. So yeah, with a lot of your groin pain and OP people, they could have a posterior pelvic tilt present, and that's what's giving them the pubic bone pain here, because the abs are just so short. Nice, Das. So you can probably spend 5 to 10 minutes in there doing that. Then what we'd work on is a lot of our gut smash stuff. So basically using our knuckles, we just start in this space here, right down inside of the ASIS. And what we're doing here is just hooking and tensioning onto the skin and just super slowly sinking down, but hooking up. Because if you think about it, if this is all short in here, we want to bring some length to it, okay? Yeah, Das can even, that's a really good point. Das can actually help by doing some dynamic movement and just holding his arms there, which is naturally going to put him in more of an anterior pelvic tilt and a bit of lumbar extension and just length of the abs here as I'm treating it. So this will be very dictated by how much they can handle in this region, because you are naturally pushing into the organs. So if they've got any digestive stuff or wind on the day, like it's going to be pretty brutal in here, but this stuff's still going to be super effective, because you're not only lengthening the abs, you're also helping them get some flow in the visceral area as well. Now, the reason why I've got so much surface area here is because I want to catch the obliques, but I also want to catch the rectus abdominis as well, which is more closer to the midline. So you can see here my knuckles are pretty much catching everything all in once here. And then we're super slowly just taking it up. Cued breathing is really important here, guys. So we want them to be relaxed, tapping into parasympathetic. And remember too, if I'm here and more vertical, I'm actually going deeper and I haven't got good fascial tension. Whereas if I'm horizontal here or 45-degree angle of my line, I've got more chance to pin and stretch this fascia. Doing good, Das. Keep breathing there, man. I'm starting to move now. Nice break. Good, man. So I'd be looking for when he's breathing. Keep going, man. Just trying to get good expansion through here, because if you think about these people, they're very closed off through here. So anytime we can get these ribs at the front to open up is going to be a lot better for us. So when you get up here, you just be a little bit careful about what they can tolerate, because you've reached this kind of 10th rib area, and that's where you'd probably finish the stroke. You can kind of lighten your pressure and then take it over that rib, and you can even do stuff where you take it right up the chest, because like I said, they could be really closed off through here. So you can do some really cool stuff up through here as well to open that whole front chain. But what it'll also do is a stroke after that, working under this 10th rib here. So all the abdominals, all the obliques come up and attach to this, the bottom rib on the front. So not the 11th and 12th, the floating ribs, but the ones at the front. So what you can do is, hopefully you can see there, Leo, but I'd start with my thumb here, sink in, and when Das breathes out, I would start to move. I'm just speeding it up here a little bit, but move out and around through here. So you can see I'm just trying to melt that line that's been stuck. Because you've got to think these muscles, they're attaching to the ribs and the pubic bone, pulling those closer together. So that's why we start with the insertion, treat the mid-belly, but then also work the origin up here too. And then you've like systematically worked the entire line. So you do that as well. So we'll just take it over to the other side. Remember, a little bit on the knuckles there. Get just inside the ASIS. Tension the fascia here. Super slowly sink in. Make sure you've picked up the slack. And just tune into what you're feeling. I'm feeling a little bit more resistance on this side, I would say. Interesting too, because it's the same side as the hamstring on the back, where we probably felt like there was more as well. So this is the thing, you're picking up information, you're gathering information, you're relaying it back to the client. And if this was Darcy's first session, he'd say, yeah, I've had that hamstring thing for ages. And so it's validation on their end that, oh, this guy's tuned in, he knows what he's talking about, I've had that issue, he's picked up on it. So relaying that information is so important as well, because that's, yeah, you've got to get buy-in from your clients. It's massive. Did you know that you had a little bit more on this left side in here? Like, is that something you...
Left hip flexor yesterday on my walk. I stretched it, constantly stretching my left side trying to open up through here.
So this was a real session. That would be something that would actually happen. Hey, I'm picking up on some pain or some tension in here. You'd go, bang, I was feeling this on my walk yesterday. So if this is Darcy's first time with us, he'd be going, fuck, this guy knows, he's picking up on what I'm feeling, you know, it's making sense, we're mapping it out together, you know, so it's so important rather than staying quiet and just letting them be on the table. Like, it's a do with process, not a do to or do on, you know. It's a joint team working together towards a common goal. Good, man. So you can just see as well just how we're not busy. Like, I think this is going to end up being probably over half an hour of video here, and I've probably only done a handful of techniques. So you don't need to be busy. You don't need to be constantly pulling away and losing connection with the person. The longer you have hands on them, the more likely you are to fix them. If you're constantly reloading your stroke and then going to a different spot and skimming over the surface, you're not actually doing stuff that's going to actually improve their situation. So remember, once you get here, you lighten the pressure. You go over that rib and take it up. So I'm feeling way more up here too. Finish off. I'll do it with my this thumb so you guys can see here a little bit easier. So pinning up into under the rib there. And slowly tracing down, just melting that entire line that could be stuck, causing the issue. There we go. So thanks for joining us today, guys, for this posterior pelvic tilt masterclass. So the moral of the story is do a postural assessment. Don't just get them on the table straight away. Start to be objective with your treatments. And if you do see this pattern, this posterior tilt, that flat back, remember glute max, hamstrings, and abs, and you'll fix them in no time. All right. Thanks, guys. See ya.
Thank you.